Hi, everyone, and welcome back to our channel. This is Lydia at Visibility on Purpose. We are a PR strategy and consulting studio helping brands get featured without paying agency prices. Today, I'm going to answer the number one question we get asked every single week, which is, how do I actually get featured on Forbes? Now, if we're thinking about Forbes, we're probably thinking about it as the gold standard of media features. And a lot of founders think that they need to be famous before they actually get featured on Forbes, but that's absolutely not the case. I'm going to debunk it today, tell you exactly what is going on at Forbes and how you can get featured there, whether you have a billion followers or whether you have 400 or something small and you're just starting out. It truly doesn't matter. What really matters is, are you providing value to the readers? Are you providing a cool angle and a product that people are actually going to be interested in? So if you're a personal brand, a product brand, a CPG founder, service provider, today is a really valuable video for you because Forbes is such a big, cool business outlet that has lots of different categories. So let's get into it. Now, first things first is to know your angle. And we have so many videos on this. So I would encourage you to go to our channel, click on videos, and take a little scroll on how to create your story angle and really hone in on why your brand is unique. But I would think about multiple things. So I would think about, like, do you want to pitch a founder story? Do you want to talk more about an industry trend that you're really passionate about? Do you want to talk about a wellness shift, a community builder type of angle? I think for CPG brands specifically, we really want to think about what makes our products unique and highlighting that. Position to the time of the year. So for example, we're about to be heading into summer and there's going to be multiple months where a lot of writers are going to be focusing on things like, let's say, like summer roundups, summer gift guides, barbecue season, barbecue must-haves, like things that make sense for the season. If you're a sunscreen brand, you probably want to talk about why your sunscreen is better than others or more unique, or why it is a great must-have to throw in your bag for the beach, right? These are things that are newsworthy and make sense for the time of the year. When we think about like what writers want to cover at big outlets, they want to cover things that the readers are interested in during that time. So we want to think about, of course, like highlighting ourselves and our own business and how it's going to benefit us. But we also want to think about the readers on the other end because that's what the outlet is interested in. And that's what's going to get us that beautiful Forbes logo that we can put on everything, including our website, our social media. And one of the things that our past client does really well, we had a client that got featured on Forbes and she constantly starts every talk, every seminar, every conversation with, oh yeah, we're a Forbes featured brand. And so when we really think about like what Forbes does for you, it's that credibility piece, which is why everyone is constantly asking us, how do you get featured on Forbes? So take some notes today because this is going to be a juicy one. And if you get featured on Forbes, please let us know. We'd like to shout you out. So now that we have our story angle in mind, I want you to start thinking about the categories that you would make sense for on the actual publication. So I would focus on digital, online versus print, because online is going to help us with our SEO. It's going to inform ChatGPT and other AI models, and it's really going to help your business all around. It also lives on the internet forever, whereas print media, I mean, I love publications. Don't get me wrong. I love a good magazine, but it does have a shelf life and any feature online does not. So we really want to focus on those digital things. But I would go on Forbes.com, scroll around and see what they're talking about. So if I am a, let's say, olive oil brand, I'm going to want to look at the writers that are covering food. I'm going to want to look at the types of angles that they're interested in and really try to position my brand to something that they're already talking about. Now, hot tip, if you are a female founder, there's a Forbes for Women column where writers are exclusively covering women-owned brands. And I just love that Forbes does that because, as we know, women are a minority in the space of owning businesses. businesses. So it's really cool that there is a space for us to really shine. So I would check out that area, see what types of writers there are to reach out to. Now, something I would encourage you to be aware of is that there are writers on Forbes that are owners of brands. They're mostly like, I want to say in the service space, but they're writing just to earn credibility and earn that Forbes logo. So they're actually not going to be featuring other brands. And you can notice this like kind of theme really quickly. If you click on the actual writer and you go to their profile and you scroll a little bit, you'll notice that they're not talking about different products or like highlighting brands, but they're talking about more general ideas or pulses on their market. So it'll be something like, how do you get your resume to stand out? And maybe this is a headhunter and they're just writing about things that make sense for their category. So you'll notice very quickly there's lots of writers that are doing that, but there's also lots of writers that are covering brands. And what I love about Forbes that not a lot of founders know is that they have a ton of freelancers. And so freelance writers are writers that are not only specifically contributing to one publication, they're typically in a certain category and they're writing to a lot. So, for example, there may be a writer that's talking about new food products and they're not only doing roundups or stories at Forbes, but they might also be doing stories at Bon Appetit, Food and Wine, Cosmopolitan. And so, what's really cool about freelancers is when you start to create a relationship with them, they actually have more access than writers at one publication. So, I'm a big fan of working with freelancers. And I also think that they really appreciate brands or publicists that are able to work with them really easily and really well. So definitely make some relationships or build some relationships with freelancers. But yeah, there's so many at Forbes. They really collect like freelancers. If you look at other publications, they definitely do have freelancers, but not as many as Forbes. And so to me, that means that Forbes is really hungry for a lot of content all the time. And so there's way more opportunity for you to get featured and for your brand to get featured, which is really, really cool. Probably the biggest strategy I would give you on Forbes is if you get on the website, you're looking at categories and you feel overwhelmed and you're not really sure like where to actually look. You're like, okay, like this makes sense, but like I don't get it. What I would do is go onto Forbes and type in either keywords in the search bar, because you can do that in almost every publication. There's like a search bar, or you can type in products or brands that are very similar to yours. So if I own a sunscreen brand and I'm curious to know where my products are a fit, maybe I'm looking up the top sunscreen brands right now that are trending. So I know like Goop products are trending right now. I also know Vacation, that brand is so trendy right now. They're everywhere. And so I would type in like Vacation sunscreen and just see who's covering these brands wherever they are featured on the publication. Most likely that writer is going to be interested in also covering you. Okay, so to give you a real hands-on view of what it looks like to actually be on Forbes and start to see where you would be a fit or where your business would be a fit, this is kind of how I like to research and find the right columns and writers. So I just typed in like Forbes Women to just give you an idea since we talked about this column. So say you're a female founder and you're looking specifically in this column. So there's a lot of writers here that focus on many different types of businesses, whether it be food and bev, whether it be jewelry, fashion, service-based businesses. What we want to find are the writers that would be interested in covering our business or the type of angle that we'd like to share, right? Or our products. So right off the bat, I know that Forbes is a subscription-based model. And if you don't want to pay for a subscription, but you do want to get the research and understand the types of writers that are a possibility for your brand, what you can do is you can open like incognito mode if you want to read the articles, if you like run out of free checks. But I personally feel like I found the right hack. So you click on the writer profiles, and this will allow you to see the headlines that they're covering and the types of stories. So you get a better understanding of who the writer is. And it also gives you a little bio about them. So right off the bat, if they're a writer that only covers agriculture, you're not going to pitch them if you own like a drink brand, for example, right? So I would just click on these. I just right clicked and I opened new tabs, and I'll show you that in a second. So we'll start to see like a repeat of writers that are contributing a lot. former contributor, that'll be like a senior editor, Forbes staff, contributor. So we're getting an idea of who's covering what, right? I'm just going to open up a few more. Okay, so I opened up some writer profiles. So Maggie McGrath, she is a writer, also is an anchor for Forbes TV. That's pretty cool. What I'm reading from this bio, if you want to pause and read it yourself, is that she's covering a lot of people or brands that are already in Forbes related columns or like awards. So you'll see like 50 over 50, World's 100 most powerful women, 30 under 30. And so this makes me think that she's mostly covering like high profile versus small business owners. So I would read through and make sure that that's the case, but I'm seeing kind of the similar headlines over and over again. So I'm going to keep her in our back pocket for now. I'm going to head on over to Hank Tucker. So Forbes staff, writer from New Jersey. Let's see, he joined in 2019, previously reported on feature, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And what I would do is I would kind of read through major in math. Okay. So you get a kind of idea of like what he is interested in covering or what he does cover. So more like investing, more that sort of vibe, sports. So you'll see a lot of sports stuff. So if your brand doesn't fall in the category of like investing or sports, I would say maybe you're not a fit here or you are a fit here, right? Dependent. So we're going to keep going through. And remember that writers are people too. So they have special interests, they like certain columns. And so a lot of writers get hired because they are fulfilling a particular genre or category. Okay, so let's see. Lisa, she covers leadership, women entrepreneurship, and startups. Okay, that's cool. So if you fall into those categories, you might be a fit. So I would read through and see like what she's covering. So why the most productive person in your hiring pool is likely a mom. CEO beats burnout. My understanding from reading these headlines is if she is covering anyone, she's doing more like quotes. I'm not seeing anything other than mostly that. What founders and female founders can teach us preserving through pandemic burnout. Oh, I wonder if this is a founder piece. How one simple lesson from a florist can help you overcome pandemic burnout. That's cool. Okay, so maybe this person does like founder stories. Oh, wow. This is from 2021. Okay. So it looks like this writer, this is another thing to do, like look at the years. So it looks like this writer took a major gap in writing for Forbes and then came back. And now they're only focusing on like more big picture concepts and a pulse on the industry. So if you want to be quoted, still potentially a good person to reach out to. Okay, I actually used to work with this writer a little bit here and there. I know that they cover a lot of beauty, a lot of fashion, that sort of vibe and wellness. She used to work with Forbes a lot and then took a pause. So you'll probably see like a little break between years, but it looks like she's doing a lot. Ooh, how Boom Nutrition is scaling 1 billion. This would be a good person to reach out to if you're a female founder in the beauty, wellness categories. Plus one. Yeah, this is really cool. Yeah. So if that's you, I would target this writer. So if you are a man watching this and you're like, okay, well, I'm not a fit for Forbes Women, and I'm looking to just pitch in my category, you can go to Forbes.com. You'll notice that there's different categories up here, right? So lifestyle, there's business. Forbes is such a giant publication that there are like great categories. Like now we're in food and drink, and I'm just like going through these big advertisements on the top are a pain. There we go. And okay, so Dry January veteran picks his go-to NA beers. Ooh, this is probably like a roundup. That's pretty cool. That may show us like a list of different types of beers. Yeah. NA beers. So if you're in this category, good person to pitch, could be this person. That's cool. And this person is a contributor. So it's great to see that there's, again, so many freelancers and contributors. Like the freelancers will probably say contributor as their name. Oh, I know this person as well. I've worked with this person before. They do a lot of full stories on the industry as well. So yeah, I mean, take the time to go through the publication. I think a lot of this is like the most thing you'll do with PR is like you'll spend time on the research. But once you research and you get the publication down and like kind of understand what's going on, it becomes a lot easier. And now the last thing I will do is actually search a specific brand in my category to see where they've been featured. So Grazia olive oil we know is so popular right now, right? I'm curious to know if they've been featured on Forbes and where. So I'm gonna go ahead and search. Oh, wow. They have AI on here too. That's crazy. Everything has AI now. And I would see who wrote about them. So, be mindful of like time periods because this person could have maybe had like a very aggressive PR campaign in 2025, but maybe not in 2026. You know, you never know. But what I'm seeing here is I'm seeing that there's a lot of different stories, right? There's Forbes Vetted, which is their column where they actually like review certain products and like make sure that they're quote unquote vetted, right? Then they're in the lifestyle category, the business category. Notice that Grazia is getting featured in lots of different categories. And that is because their publicists or the brand themselves, who knows who's doing their PR, right, is understanding that the brand can be a fit for lots of different columns and categories. It just depends on the angle. So Grazia is a leader in the space because they reinvented the olive oil. So of course they'd be a fit for leadership, right? They're also a fit for business because it's a large business company. Vetted, they got vetted by their Forbes staff members on the type of like product that it is. And then lifestyle, it really is a lifestyle product. It's like Grazia is not just an olive oil, it's an experience infused in a bottle. That's what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about like getting your story straight. You really want to understand what story you want to go for first. And PR is cool because it's such a long-term strategy that you don't need to be rushing all these different angles and get featured right away, right? Like we're maybe going to focus on like one area of the business for a little bit and then transition and make it more of an evergreen strategy where you're always going to get featured in the news. And I think Grazia does a great way of showing you that kind of journey over the years. This is 2023, Forbes vetted. Ooh, best thing that we ate in September. That's pretty cool. And you can click on all these stories and read a little bit more about what they have to say. But I really love what I'm reading here because I'm seeing so many different angles where the brand is a fit. The very last piece that I would say is if you're really looking for support on this and you're like, okay, I know that I'm targeting Forbes and I know I'm also targeting Bon Appetit, Food and Wine, parents.com, whatever it may be, and you're really looking for somebody to help you with that strategy, reach out to us. We do personalized PR plans. Our clients have been featured on Bon Appetit, Food and Wine, and also I'm a publicist of over 10 years. So I've been working with brands you probably have in your own house. I also still own an agency on the side. So between the two of us, we have really unique perspectives and all of our personalized PR plans are focused on results. So what do we do in these PR plans? We give you the exact strategy and roadmap of how to get featured at your top outlets. We write a pitch for you. So that's that email that you're sending to writers to let you know that you're newsworthy, relevant, highlight your differentiators. And then we also give you a list of publications that we think are most likely to feature you. And we give you the exact step-by-step, like insider knowledge that most publicists would never ever share. This information is typically gatekept, and we just don't believe in that. For us, we've seen a lot of brands out there not be able to succeed and ultimately fail because they don't have the tools. And we're just not about that life. So if you're interested, I will link that below. Now, the very last tip that I want to give you is a lot of brands really understand their story when they create a product. They have a why in mind, but they don't actually know their differentiators. And thankfully, we have a video on that. So I would definitely go check it out. But what you want to do is if you're looking for a founder story on your brand, meaning a story that's like this founder created X, Y, and Z, it's a huge gap in their market, blah, 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 like something where it's like really talking about just you. I would focus on number one, the story, but number two, what makes your brand unique and why somebody really would want to lean in and purchase your products. So some of those differentiator areas would be the ingredients, the products, where they're sourced, what they do. Also the experience and those like sensory words. I think a lot of brands forget about infusing the experience of their brands into a very short and concise pitch. And this is what we help you do in the personalized PR plan. But if I can give you any real big advice, That would be it for sure. Now, the final point that I will give you is if you're narrowing down what writers to reach out to on Forbes, just know that writers are looking for brands and publicists to pitch them all the time. So they make it pretty simple for you to find their email address. Now, there's a few ways you can go about doing this, but a lot of writers, especially freelancers, have their own websites. So you can typically find their content information there. Or a lot of writers create a really nice like Instagram profile. So if you use your phone view only, not the browser, for whatever reason, it doesn't work on the browser. If you use your phone view and go to their profile, a lot of them have a button at the top that says email. So it's very simple to find their email address. Let us know if you liked this video. Please like, subscribe, and comment. We can't wait to hear about your feature on Forbes. Please let us know. We would love to share your feature with our audience. Have a good one. We'll see you soon.